Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. If we could do a roll call, please.
Director Quady.
Here.
Director McMillan. Here. Director Pacala.
Yes.
Director Robert.
Yep.
Director Avila.
Here. Thank you, Kara. Pledge of allegiance. Quady.
Raise your color and hand over your heart. Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the
United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, item 2, public comments. This portion of the agenda may be utilized by any member of the public to address the board of directors on any matter within the jurisdiction of the board that does not appear on the agenda and on matters that are on the agenda but are not designated as action items. Depending on the subject matter, the board of directors may be unable to respond at this time or until a specific topic is placed on the agenda of a future Calleguas Municipal Water District Board meeting in accordance with the Ralph and Brown Act. Please limit remarks to 3 minutes. Please raise your hand if you'd like to speak.
We don't have any public in the room, and I actually don't think we have any public online either. Those are likely all.
Oh, okay, good to go.
Sorry.
Party time. Right. Item 3, items to be added to agenda. Do we have any items to be added to the agenda?
No items.
No items. Okay, has everybody had time to review the agenda? Any changes recommended?
Well, I did review the agenda as usual. I have some questions and comments on the consent calendar.
Okay.
I will be abstaining from the minutes, but going ahead with the rest.
Thank you. All right, item 5, presentations.
Yes.
Item A, presentation of Greater Conejo Valley Chamber of Commerce 40 under 40 recognition to management analyst Kat Arrett. Oh, Charlotte.
Well, good evening, directors. I'm very excited to be here. For the past 10 years, the Greater Conejo Valley Chamber of Commerce has selected 40 young professionals under the age of 40 to receive their 40 under 40 award. These individuals have made outstanding contributions in their workplaces and in their communities. The recipients work in a variety of fields, including healthcare, law enforcement, emergency response, education, small business, and water. Tonight, I wanted to formally share with the board that this year, Calleguas External Affairs Management Analyst Kat Arrett received this impressive recognition. Kat joined the district in December of last year and has made a tremendous impact during that short time. Those of you who attended the interconnection event saw her handiwork everywhere. She made sure that event was very successful. Throughout her busy work life, Kat has maintained a steadfast commitment to Ventura County as a leader in many community organizations, helping organize events, participating in charitable endeavors, and much more. Kat is truly deserving of this special award. We are so fortunate to have her on our team. I'd love to invite her up to the podium to show us the award. Is it?
Is that backwards? We 4 under 4?
Getting it for everybody, both sides. Trying to get some fingerprints on it, but good evening, Board of Directors. I just wanted to express my sincere gratitude for this recognition and support for this award. It truly means a great deal to me to work for a company that encourages their employees to be involved, but not only from a board level, but from everybody here on the Calleguas staff. I did want to say a special thank to my manager, Charlotte, as well as our general manager, Christine, and as well, Jennifer Lancaster, for manager resources, for attending the event. That was just truly special, and that really meant a lot to me. I think it's incredibly amazing. We have an organization that prioritizes professional growth, but also supports its employees at the same time. So I really wanted to just take this time and keep it short and sweet, but thank you. This was an incredible honor, very unexpected, and it was very big deal to represent Calleguas. So thank you so much for your time tonight.
Congratulations.
To meet her parents.
Thank you.
Well deserved.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Kat, you've done incredible. You know, I first met you when you worked for the supervisor, and And I was very impressed at how well you had that office organized and how well you guys ran everything. And I'm glad to have you here. Work.
To be here. Thank you.
Okay, item 6, consent.
We have the presentation.
Okay. Presentation of the Calleguas Las Virgenes interconnected video.
Yeah, so Charlotte's going to handle this item as well. I know not all of our directors were able to join us a couple weeks ago at this event, so we want to make sure that not only the directors who weren't able to attend kind of got to see what it was all about, but those of you who were there, I'm sure, like me, it went by in a blur because there was so much to see, so many people to talk to. So Charlotte's going to kind of give us an overview of how the evening went and then show us the video that we showed that day.
Very good. Thanks, Christine. So as I'm speaking, I'm going to show a few photos from the event. We had a great turnout. We had 104 people attend, including many community residents and their families. So that was great to see that. We had Ventura County Supervisor Jeff Gorell, of course, the mayor of Agora, 2 Agora City Council members, and many directors from here, Las Virgenes, Triunfo, and United. We also had staff from the offices of Representative Julia Brownlee, Senator Henry Stern, and Assembly members Gabriel and Irwin. So this is kind of what it looked like, very festive, very colorful. This was the end of the video. It was a beautiful location. Lots of gift bags for everybody. We had Little Drop there on loan from LV, and Little Drop took a picture with everybody. So that was really fun to have that there. And Little Drop as well. So we had a speaking program that included our own board president, as well as our general manager, folks from LV, and Supervisor Jeff Gorell made some really, we thought, poignant remarks about being an assemblyman and authoring Proposition 1, being a co-author of Proposition 1, which came back to fund much of this project. So he really enjoyed seeing that kind of come full circle from proposal to implementation right in his very own district. So that was great. So the theme for the evening was Stronger Together, and we had something special to commemorate that. It was a ribbon tying. Here are the electeds presenting certificates during the program. Rather than a ribbon cutting, we had this incredible accessory built by our very own O&M department. I want to acknowledge Ben Flores and Eric Mesa in particular for their creativity and ingenuity in assembling and welding and painting this prop under Kat's leadership. It was a really special presentation that joined the 2 districts together. We also had a raffle, a kids coloring station, the project managers doing their fist bump, and it was the right balance, we thought, of being festive as well as informative. So we couldn't have the event at the actual interconnection site, but we wanted to show people kind of what it looked like. Here's our cake saying Stronger Together. So we developed a video featuring interviews, construction footage, and photos of the actual interconnection. We showed it during the event. Some of you have already seen it, but it's worth a second watch. So let's play that now.
The Calleguas Municipal Water District is a water wholesaler that serves southeastern Ventura County. That means we don't sell water to individual homes or businesses, but we do sell it to the water retailers that sell it to the individual customers. Calleguas serves approximately 650,000 residents, which is about 3/4 of the population of Ventura County.
Las Virgenes Municipal Water District, we're a retail water and wastewater agency, and we serve the western part of LA County, about 75,000 people and 4 incorporated cities.
We're connected to the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California by a single tunnel, which crosses a seismically active area.
Las Virgenes itself has literally no other sources of water except that water that comes from Metropolitan, and we have only one pipe to them, only literally one pipe. Every district is sort of traditionally has sort of been individual, and there was no interconnectivity between the districts.
So Calleguas and Las Virgenes, we've been partners for a long, long time. We are both member agencies of Metropolitan Water District. For more than 50 years, though, our two water systems were not connected. We had no physical connection. And this project is one that allows us to address that concern by really linking together our two water systems and allowing us to provide reliability that was not available before. This is really going to be our lifeline, and we can support each other, Calleguas to Las Virgenes and Las Virgenes to Calleguas.
Calleguas has access to sources of water that we don't in our service area, and vice versa. And so the ability to actually transfer water between the two of us really just opens up those possibilities.
Between our two systems, we represent about 750,000 people. Two agencies together or several agencies together can do a lot more than any single agency on its own.
What we've already observed in terms of climate change is this weather whiplash. We're having wetter wets, drier dries. The drier periods are longer and deeper. The wetter periods are flashier. So our ability to move water around, to share water, to store water, and to develop alternative supplies is absolutely critical to ensuring that we provide a resilient and reliable source as climate continues to change in the future. If we ever encounter a situation where our normal source of water isn't available, and that could be due to a scheduled shutdown to accommodate important maintenance or repair work, or could be due to a natural disaster like an earthquake. This facility will enable us to receive water from other sources and make sure that our customers have the water they need when they need it most.
You know, as we do tackle things like climate change, emergencies, fires, a drought, or something going on, great way to modernize these systems.
The Calleguas-Las Virgenes interconnection was a very complex project. It involved several facilities. It involved the pump station and pressure reg station that we're sitting in for this interview, to excavate the pit for the work to be done for the new pipeline connection, also to shore that pit, and ultimately the fun part of installing the new connections to the existing pipeline. It involves the pipeline on Ladero County Road in order to pothole and locate our existing pipeline buried underneath the roadway, which is about 20 feet deep. It involved constructing a replacement meter station for Tramp Water and Sanitation District and several other facilities. We can now move water in a way that really was never possible before. This interconnection is really just an example of how our two water systems join forces to build a stronger water system together.
Partnerships are important because we're stronger together. Having an interconnected system lets us help each other with our local supplies, to include our groundwater, to include Lake Bard, to include Las Virgenes' reservoirs and their upcoming projects, is something that every agency should strive for. We should all be working together to connect all our systems together so that we are not dependent on any single source, but can rely on each other to help each other out in times of need. This game-changing effort shows how tight-knit, creative partnerships keep our water flowing strong.
Definitely think this project is a good model for other agencies. I think it's going to open the door to so many other possibilities into the future for this region. I'm very proud of it, not just as an engineer who worked on it, but as somebody who gets to see the benefits from it.
For our children's children, you know, this is infrastructure that will be around, you know, kind of forever if you really think about it. When we need it and we have it, they will be very happy that it's there.
All of the easy projects have already been done. Everything that individual agencies can do on their own has been completed. What remains available to us are the more challenging projects, the ones that involve regional thinking, regional partnerships, non-traditional partnerships, and more complicated construction, which is exactly what this project entailed.
As the president of the board of Calleguas Municipal Water District, I would like to thank the local community for your patience while we completed this project.
I know that there was a lot of impact to the community, but it really makes us better and stronger, and we're thankful for your patience and appreciate it.
Having construction in one's community is never enjoyable. There's traffic, there's dust, there's noise, but I hope the community understands how much their patience is appreciated and how critical this project is to ensuring that they have a reliable and resilient water supply.
Great, thank you, Wes. So there you have it. We think a really beautiful video about the interconnection. We will be using it for other purposes, not just for the event. We're making some tweaks because it came out really nicely. And I really want to give a special shout out to Jennifer Lancaster, our water resources manager. She spearheaded the video effort, providing incredibly detailed feedback to the videographer we worked with. And I think we went through 9 iterations, Jen, if I'm not mistaken, or more. Maybe around that. 9, 12, we lost count. It's count. So that was a fantastic help. And I also just want to thank again Ben and Eric. And on the day of the event, we had a lot of Calleguas staff helping out, including Kara, Megan Nielsen, both Jennifers, Jennifer Lancaster, Jen Vasquez, and our intern Cassie Macias for all of their help on that day. Certainly appreciated. And last, but by certainly no means least, Kat was my partner throughout this entire planning effort, which began in April. And she did much behind the scenes and for the event, all those special touches, I chalk up to Kat's efforts, and she did a fantastic job. So thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the event. Appreciate your support of this and the project.
Good work. Thank you. Any questions from the board for the public?
No questions, Mr. President. I just want to tell you, I missed a great celebration. I want to thank for the lot of planning that went behind and execution. And as you know, I was out of town, so I couldn't make it. I did come back and look at all the photos that were sent.
Yeah.
So the second time I watched. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know,
Good. Do it to the photos.
Yeah, it was a great event. The video was incredibly impressive. It almost plays like a university advertisement video, like a really kind of wholesome, humble, or
Yes.
I don't know. I just really enjoyed the video. So nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte, for that presentation and everything you did to make that event a success.
Okay, moving on to the consent calendar. I think we're gonna go through these and then approve them all at once at the end. I have been asked to pull aside item C, D. Would other members of the board like to pull other items?
Well, I'm not proposing to pull any, but I just have some comments and questions.
Well, we have a presentation on D, so maybe we can handle any questions or comments on items A through C. And then Fernando can do the presentation on D, and then we can field any questions that may not be answered by that presentation.
And I have questions about the payment register as well, so B.
All right. I guess one at a time.
So in that case, we'll start with B. I noticed that the manager's cards, I think in the past, we used to itemize some of the expenses out. I think now it's just the one.
Dan, I don't recall us ever itemizing the individual charges on the manager's credit cards.
He did not. We only just put the account numbers.
Oh, okay, so just the account numbers?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess Christine, you review all the charges.
I review all of the charges for all the managers' credit cards, and then Director McMillan as treasurer reviews mine.
Okay, all right. And what got me thinking about that item was people knows about this on the base. We've been doing a review of all the items that we have stored. And I see a lot of items there that we're purchasing, not necessarily large dollar items, but smaller dollar item parts. And on base, what we figured out is that we've had parts in storage for 30, 40 years. and nobody was keeping track of them, so they were all getting lost and misplaced. And I'm wondering, how do we keep track of all the small items that we're buying or tools?
Okay, so you're not, we moved on from the credit cards.
No, I'm asking, in terms of all the smaller items that we're buying on the credit cards.
A lot of what's on the credit cards is like registrations for professional events.
Oh, sorry, not credit cards, and just in general on the.
Oh, just in general.
Smaller dollar value items.
I will ask our manager, Omar Castro, to field that question.
So currently what we do is when we purchase anything, it gets checked in here through our general services. Then whichever supervisor requested that purchase, it'll be issued to them. We are working on a software program with CityWorks, and we will have an inventory component to that will allow us to look at parts, tools, and how we manage that in the future. But right now, everything is done just on a log sheet.
Thank you, Omar. Do we have other questions about the register?
I'll ask one since you broke it out. On the Chandler asset, I see two payments, July 2nd and 16th. Is that a rush? Is that a monthly fee that's two in the same month, or what is that?
No, Director Brady, that was just a timing issue.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
I have several questions.
For the register?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Just follow up on your question, the President. My question on that credit card payments was this, the largest amount I saw was about $9,402. My question is that for one item or is that several items combined?
See which credit card it is.
It's a HR.
It's HR?
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't want to, I just want.
Got it. We have moved our environmental health and safety specialist to a trailer. So we were doing furniture for that as well as other miscellaneous things. But I think the furniture was the majority of.
Because there are several items. It shows.
Yeah, yes, it's.
Okay, that's not my question. Okay, got it. Thank you. Going back to from the beginning on this, I have several. Page 18 of this of 152. Page 18 of page 18 and page 30. On those two pages, we have payment of 156,000 plus and also 31,000 plus for City of Camarillo and Camarillo Water District for desalters. My question, I guess, to our general manager is, what are these payments for? Does this mean only two desalters are operating now?
so these are, I believe this is the LRP credit item you're asking about?
Yes.
At the top of page 18, and then, so there's one on third.
Page 18 and page 30.
Okay, so Jennifer, do you want to talk about the LRP program and how we handle this with the purveyors?
Yes, so those projects received funding from Metropolitan through their local resources program. And they basically get a certain amount of money that's, identified within their contracts per acre foot of water produced by the project. And really the intent of the program was to help offset the cost of developing local resources compared with the price of imported water. So each project has its own agreement with Met, and we as the member agency are kind of the vehicle in between the two entities. So the retailers report to us each month the amount of water produced through their project. We report it to Met. Met credits us their due amount on our water bill, and then we turn around and give it to the retailers. So we're essentially kind of just moving money between Met and the retailers for them.
So we are passed through.
Yes.
Well, except that we do retain some ourselves for the salinity management pipeline.
That's right. We do have a percentage that we keep back for that salinity management pipeline.
Okay. Is this program available on ongoing basis or it's only time certain from Metropolitan?
I think do they open it up routinely? I can't remember between the
Yeah, so
That's okay. If you don't know now, that's okay.
well, the bigger question is the fate of the LRP program generally is still kind of in the air. It's one of the things that Metropolitan is looking at as they go through the business model and looking at the business case of the various programs that they've developed, whether it still makes sense to Met staff and to the board and to the Metropolitan service area generally, or Metropolitan be paying out the local resource program funds for member agencies to essentially be able to buy less Metropolitan water.
Right.
So that's really, 20 years ago when the program was first developed and Met was worried about hitting kind of its demand ceiling, it made sense to encourage local resource development. But today, when we're all delivering about 60% of our peak from 15 years ago, the question is open whether if we're going to continue doing the project.
Yeah.
So how much funding is left in the LRP today? I don't know. We can certainly get you that information, but kind of whether it's going to continue long-term is another question.
I'm more interested in, as we move forward, I know we have lots of local fresh groundwater desalters being looked at this time. Would this program be available? If not, should we be supporting at the metropolitan level to continue this program?
Yeah, and I do believe when they first conceived of this program, they had a specific acre foot amount of water that was their target for all of the LRP projects. And I believe they're getting close to that original target as well. So given the change in the environment, as well as them approaching that original target, we don't want to rely on that being available, but there could be other funding mechanisms that they come up with that might not be this program, but might be something different. And we certainly want to advocate for that.
Okay.
Thank you, Jennifer.
The other question was, this budget reflects 2 desalters. So I thought we have more than 2 desalters.
Well, it has to do with whether that member agency pursued the LRP funding with Met. In the case of the other desalter that discharges PHWAs, that desalter's been around since the 90s. So it's not enrolled in the LRP.
There's no agreement between MWD and the, okay, thank you. On page 19 of 152, a payment of $105,000 to LAFCO. I know in the past, the president has brought this up. My question is more about, I'm thinking this is a legal question. Are these based on the current law, state law, the way they charge us?
Yes, it's based on current LAFCO law.
Okay.
There's not a real good way around it. The only way where they could fix some of these, because they are issues, is if the special districts got together and the other special districts would have to agree to change the way that percentage is broken out. But because a lot of those percentages that we're paying are paid by cities or the county when they buy water from us, the other smaller special districts are never going to agree to it. So that's the problem there. I think it is unfair for many of the cities. I think it's not really about the amount that we're paying. It's about our purveyors paying twice. They're paying on their end, their LAFCO fees, and they're paying again through us.
Yeah. My other question, I guess, since you're in LAFCO, do we know if other LAFCOs in the state use the same methodology, or do they have different methodology?
I'd have to look that up. I don't know. I'll ask and I'll get an answer back to you.
I'm thinking, I mean, if there's a way for us to renegotiate this to lower, as you say, it's double dipping.
It is. It is. And I think a good way to go about this that I've kind of prodded a little bit is not for us to do it.
Yeah.
But mention it to our purveyors. You're paying twice.
Right.
You're paying twice. Let's look at this. How do we solve this to make this more fair?
Okay, thank you. Okay, on page 23 of 152, there's a 19,600 charge invoice paid to Lattice Consultants International Lake Board Surveillance Data Review.
This is dam monitoring.
Damn, man, that's what I wanted to know. What is this for?
We'll just wait for Director Pacala to name off mine. That'll be mine as well.
Damn one.
Do you have one on page 25 as well?
No, I haven't. Yes, I do.
Just let you keep going then.
Oh, you want to go? Go ahead.
Yeah.
I have 24.
Go for it.
Page 24, 152. It's a small amount. This is for Dan. There's a payment of 2,700 to Moody's Investor Service. My question is this recurring or what type of service does Calleguas receive?
Director McCullough. So Moody's and S&P on an annual basis review our credit rating and take a look at it. So that's what we're receiving. They're looking at it's our 2000 A bonds, the variable rate ones, that they really always take a look at it because we're always going back to the market with that letter of credit that we have out there on them.
So anytime we refinance, we have to go back to Moody's. Okay.
Every time we refinance a loan, we do the bonds, but also just because we've got those variable rate bonds and we have a letter of credit that backs them up, that letter of credit's always out there and they're always checking our bond rating against it to make sure that we are at the correct rating for that we're upholding it.
Okay, thank you. You want to take the 25? I don't know what question you have. Page 25.
Where was I? I don't know what I was looking at now.
I can ask my question.
You
You want me to ask my question?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a towing charge to Roy's Towing of $687.50. My question is, how often does Calleguas use towing service? If we use on a regular basis, should we negotiate special rates with other towing companies?
So Roy's Towing is as needed, and it's if we have to relocate a generator. And in this case, we had to relocate some generators for our inspection. So it isn't anything reoccurring, but.
It's not reoccurring. Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on, page 27, a payment of $50,806 to Tyler Technologies for NWS. I don't know what NWS means.
It is New World Services, our financial
This
system.
is our annual maintenance for our financial system.
Annual maintenance.
I think I would recommend anything over a certain threshold. We put a little, I know some of these have comments and they answered, I was able to guess what they were and confirm, but I think over a certain amount, it'd be prudent to put a description. That way we could go, oh, okay, that's what that is.
We'll work on a description.
Have Mr. President.
Thank you.
On the register.
Okay, on this one. Does anybody else have anything?
I was wondering the same thing of NWS.
I got one last one. It kind of goes back to the first question I asked. See on, we have the Home Depot credit card for 2,800. I'm wondering, how frequently do we buy stuff at Home Depot and what kind of stuff are we buying at Home Depot?
So Home Depot is probably utilized monthly, if not more. And it's anything from janitorial services to some of our rodent protection devices that we use, as well as if we're doing any repairs or modifications around here. So it is probably used quite a bit. Everything is itemized and charged to a certain GL, so we're able to track who purchases it and what it's for.
Oh, okay, we have like an account there and stuff goes there.
It's actually a Home Depot card, and we just changed the way we use that and how it's managed and how we track the requests. So the purchase will be made by one person, even though the request will come from others, and then it's logged and tracked that way.
Got it. Okay, thank you. All right, that's all I have for the register. Do we have anything else?
I've got one more on page 31. Eagle Aerial Solutions, 18,190. Water View software cost share map reimbursement.
Jennifer, you want to handle that, please?
Sorry, could you?
Eagle Aerial on page 31,
Oh, there, yes.
right under Dragon Media.
So this is the shared services kind of contract that we have with Eagle Aerial so that we can supplement a part of each of our participating retailers' subscription fees with that company for their water view. And we get reimbursed through Metropolitan's member agency administered program. But just to make it easier for the retailers, we pay Eagle directly and then we get back the money from Met.
Oh, so it's a direct pass through? Okay, cool.
Yes, we just got to front the money and then get the reimbursement.
And what do?
They provide a dashboard for the retailers to track their compliance with the new conservation as a California way of life regulations that are applicable to retailers, but not wholesalers. So they have targets that they have to meet in terms of water use that sort of ramp down over time. So this dashboard helps the retailers drill down on where the water is being used, where they can focus their outreach. If there's a certain area that is using a lot of water, they will focus the required outreach to that area. So it's a tool that a lot of our retailers were already using or interested in using. So this just leverages some MAP funding to help take a bit of the cost off for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that per retailer or like a whole cost for all our purveyors?
We came up with a full budget and then we broke it down by retailer according to the number of connections that they have. And those are just for the 11 retailers that are subject to these regulations. The smaller ones are not. And so Eagle Aerial charges basically per connection anyway. So that's how we allotted out the budget for each retailer.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, thank you everyone for that. Moving on to item C, adopt resolution number 2113, awarding the contract as needed pipeline services and authorize a budget of $1,200,000 for the contract. Director Robert had asked me to pull this one and get some more information on it.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if we could do a quick overview. I know it's in the agenda, but for us and the public, it's a large amount.
Sure. Is that something we want to address now or we?
Yeah, that's
Okay, so
easy.
yes, the as-needed pipeline services agreement is a contract that we put out every 3 years or so to be able to call upon a on-call contractor to address any emergency projects or miscellaneous items that are that O&M may ask for to address here at the yard or make me relocate facility due to a developer that is now paving a road, now of airbag cabinets on the way, so we have to relocate it. This contract allows us to bid the labor and equipment rates competitively, and when the need arises to use that contract, we can just pick up the phone and call this contractor, use those competitive rates to address whatever work we have proposed. So we recently put out the contract out to bid, and happy to report that we had 5 bidders this time. The first time we had more than 2. This is the 4th time we've put this contract out. The low bidder was Blois Construction. They are the current contractor that won the last contract, and they came in as the low bidder again. So.
What this allows us to do, we've been doing, this is the 3rd time we've did this, I believe, so 4th. Okay, so we've been doing it for a little less than 10 years. It prevents us from needing to competitively bid small projects like relocating an air vac, because the limit for which we can work with do a public works improvement without competitive bid has not changed since the 70s. And let me tell you, $35,000 doesn't buy what it used to. It also allows us to have this contractor available for emergency response, and it avoids the need for the board to have to continuously declare an emergency during line break. So really gets us, it streamlines the procurement processes, it gives us competitively bid prices. It's really been a successful strategy to approach these kind of slightly challenging projects that don't fall into conventional capital project processes.
Yes, agreed. Thank you.
Okay. And I'm sure it expedites things in short timelines. And how does this compare to the other, how does this amount compare to the other 3-4 years?
So every time we've come to the board for those 3 years, we've asked for $1,250,000. I think one of those 3 years, we did approach $1,250,000. We're just below that on average. I think this last year, we're closer to $600,000 over the 3-year span. But
And it depends if we have a major line break in the time frame.
So it's budgeted, but not, and allocated, but not spent until needed.
That is correct. Yes.
It's an important distinction when you see that many zeros.
Thank you, Fernando.
Great, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Director Capella?
When I reviewed the staff report, the question I had is very similar to Dr. Robert. Is 1.2 is based on historical?
That's correct. Yes.
And staff report also says Royce did some work on SMP phase 1.
That is correct. Yes.
The cost, how much did we pay for that particular contract?
That emergency repair, I think it was close to $400,000.
$1,000.
Yes, that was an emergency.
HDPE in the middle of Wainimi Road.
And that was his work 24/7 to get the pipeline repaired back in service so our dischargers that were impacted can return to discharging.
So this 1.2 million, according to the staff report, is for 3-year contract.
Correct.
So it's 400,000 per year.
Correct.
If we, okay.
If we spend it.
It was,
But in a given year, we could spend as much as 1.2 million.
okay. Yes.
I mean, this way to do it to, I guess, take advantage of the situation and then address the issues that we need to address right away. Good job.
Okay. Thank you.
Item D, approved new capital project Lake Water Filtration Plant Secondary Emergency Access Road. Project number 5.1 and capital project, but budget allocation in the amount of $80,000.
Yeah, so Fernando has a project. He does have a project, but he also has a presentation to provide on this. And of course, we can take questions throughout or at the end, but this may answer some of the questions the board has about this particular new capital
Do
project.
you want to approve the consent or?
This is one of the items.
After this one, and then we'll back to approve the.
Oh.
All right, so I do have a presentation on this proposed project. So this project, well, I'll start with pointing out that as many as you know, the facility where we're sitting now has one point of entry, ingress, egress, and that is off of Olson Road. It's shown in this aerial, and that star signifying where that entrance is. We don't have any additional right of entry for vehicle access. So there is a need for secondary or emergency access. We know that emergencies may affect the single point of access that may impede or delay potential evacuations or an emergency response. As an example, just a few weeks ago, there was a car accident just outside our exit here on Olson Road. This was later in the day. The cleaning crew and several other staff were still here. We were on our way out, and unfortunately, we were not able to get out because the accident impeded our exit. We were delayed about 20-25 minutes until the traffic accident was cleared, but that was an example of how this one point of entry can be impacted. We also know that this site is located in very high fire hazard severity zone. As many of us have lived through a couple of wildfires recently, one that burned just down the other side of Olson Road 5, 6, 7 years ago. And we also store chlorine, ammonia, sulfuric acid, and other hazardous chemicals here on site. And there's always a potential for a leak or a spill on that may impact that entry point. So we determined that an alternative evacuation and emergency access route could be critical to protecting health and safety of district staff and the safety of facilities here. So having identified that need, we performed a feasibility study. We worked with consultant M&S to identify alternatives for secondary emergency access. We identified 6 potential alternatives with the criteria that the access road would be able to accommodate emergency vehicles, not just a utility truck. So the criteria was to be able to provide a 15-foot wide minimum wide road. The grade could not exceed 16%. Vertical curves were also limited to no more than 6% over a 10-foot section. Horizontal curves to a minimum of 40 feet for turning radiuses for emergency responders. So the most promising alternatives, 4 of them, were further investigated. So the first alternative here, shown in yellow here, that is one alternative that was looked at. It starts down at near the Toe of Dam pump station, and it would provide us access into the golf course facility and to a neighboring residential area. This would require grading as well as retaining walls and easements from property owners, 3 specifically. Alternative 2 would use a private residential driveway as shown here on the circled area on the aerial map. It would connect us to the adjacent property that also would need to use the gated community in Wood Ranch. And it would require us to improve existing dirt roads on our site here, which is shown here in red. Alternative 3 is a slight variation to alternative 2. It uses the same properties, but it uses, instead of a driveway, it uses a dirt access road. And alternative 4, further to the east of Lake Bard, this would connect us to the cul-de-sac just to the east of our property in the Wood Ranch community. It would require a new gate entrance and the use of access driveway to Staff House 3. And it would be located furthest from the existing current access point, and would also be the least expensive alternative. And for those reasons, alternative 4 was the selected and recommended site. And this aerial shows basically the cul-de-sac in the Wood Ranch community, Arvada Court, and a new driveway and access road that would connect to the existing driveway up to Staff House 3 would be needed. And again, it would be located furthest from the current access point, which would provide the most resiliency if something would happen to the existing access point. I also want to point out that a few weeks ago, the capital project priority evaluation form was distributed to the board, and some board members as well as staff members who completed it ultimately ranked this project as high priority due to its consequence of not implementing the project and the probability of occurrence, as well as the cost considerations. So tonight's recommended board action is to approve the new capital project for the Lake Bard Water Filtration Plant Secondary Emergency Access Road, and the approval of capital project budget allocation in the amount of $80,000 to perform preliminary design.
Thank you, Fernando.
I'm happy to take questions.
Questions, comments from the board?
You said preliminary designs. What's the total scope of alternate site 4?
Yeah, so preliminary design would include up to 50% design documents, both plans and specs, further evaluation of the right-of-way that would be required, doing survey to fine-tune the profile and the grading that would be necessary. So it would be up to 50% design, essentially.
And then the total cost of that, of all alternate site or alternate entry 4?
Right now, the budgetary estimate based on just the feasibility study is approximately $300,000.
That's a construction cost.
Construction.
Does not include project management or design cost.
Right.
Are there encroachments there?
Yes, there would be. So we would need to acquire right of entry from these 2 property owners that own essentially small.
To be permanent easements.
easements, excuse me, yes, easements from these two property owners to acquire the right of entry through their yards.
Have you discussed this with them yet?
We have reached out to them to start the conversation. I believe the residents on the south side of the cul-de-sac has already responded with questions. We've responded to their questions about construction timeline, schedule, noise, and when would this be happening? We have not gotten a response from the neighbor to the north, but we are giving it summer and people take vacations and may not be in town. So we're waiting to another week or two before we go knocking on doors.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
I just have a comment. As you know, I'm new on the board. So it is interesting for me to see even the board members get to evaluate the projects before they become capital projects. Good. It'll be good to know before you start working.
Is there a operational benefit to having our secondary exit at the other end of our property rather than, one right next to the other, that kind of thing? Imagine getting to the other side of the lake quickly along the dam road is not something that emergency services can do that well in case there's an emergency over at Staff Housing 3. So were those benefits considered in the choosing of this location and the costs and all that?
Yes, there was consideration for location relative to a potential emergency. Also accessibility. One of the two alternatives in the middle here would require us to go a gated community before we would get onto this property. The alternative number one, which uses the golf course, is also much closer to where we store chemicals. And we thought it'd be better to provide more distance from where those locations are at.
Okay, thank you. Very good.
Any brush clearance requirements on any part of that road where you might not maintain?
For the recommended alternative, there is no need for that. It's basically our existing driveway. There is some potential shrubs that would be needed to be cleared, but there's not much there in that area.
Very good.
Okay. Fernando.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and with that, I'm looking for a motion for the consent calendar.
I make a motion that we approve the consent calendar.
Second. Okay, we have first and second. Can you have a?
Who was second? They said it at the same time. Okay. Director Quady?
With the exception of item B, or I'm sorry, item A, aye.
Director McMillan?
Aye.
Paula?
We are approving all consent items.
Yes.
Yes.
Director Robert?
Yes.
And Director Avila?
Aye. Okay, consent calendar passes. Thank you, everybody. Item 7, action items. Item A, discussion regarding Association of California Water Agencies elections.
Yes, so the board previously designated Director Quady as its voting representative for the 2025 Aqua elections. These are handled every 2 years. They're selecting over votes on president, vice president, and then the Region 8 offices. I would note that there are 2 very familiar names on the Region 8 candidates list because it includes both Director Quady and Director McMillan. In terms of the choices that need to be made, there's no candidates running against any of these candidates. So it comes down to, you can choose to vote for these candidates or you can write in candidates. Or not vote. Those are the choices available to the board. Information was provided in the packet for the president and vice president candidates, and a link was provided for the Region 8 candidates because there were so many of them.
All right.
So I'm just looking for direction from the board on whether you vote for the slate or if there's individual votes you want to issue instead.
Seems like a no-brainer to me. Do we have?
Yeah, my question is under the rules for the elections, if there's nobody contesting, they still have to conduct the elections? They can nominate them. How does that work? If there's nobody else contesting, what's the point of elections?
To confirm the people that are running. If you have a problem with someone who's running, then you don't vote for them.
Or you can write in. So you could write in, the board could today decide that instead of all of these candidates listed, they would like to write in 10 other names.
So
McMillan or Dr. McMillan.
So we can write in Director Pacala for Aqua President.
You could.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then there might be some information requirements that you needed to meet before this, right?
I'm a little fuzzy on that. Looking at the election materials, all I saw was write in or vote the slate.
Because all of these candidates have previously notified intent and provided bios. So it's probably better for your electorate to inform them about your background.
Thank you for answering my questions. I support the nominees.
I think we all probably support Director Quade and Director McMillan. Is there anybody on this slate that we have any concerns with? I asked the board because most board members have more experience with these names than I would.
I see that Ernie Avila is running for president. I know him as vice president, and Eni Avila is going to be of great moral character to be trusted.
He has a lot of experience, 45 years of experience.
Yeah.
All right. As much of a coincidence as it may be, I think Ernesto Avila is a very qualified individual, so I would support that, but.
Have energy. Yeah, line.
Okay, looking for a motion.
This would be to concur the slate.
Yep.
So move.
Second.
Okay, we have first, second, roll call, please.
Director Quady. Director McMillan.
Yes.
Director Pacala.
Yes.
Director Robert.
Yes.
Director Avila.
Aye. Okay, thank you, everybody. Okay, item 8, reports, monthly status report.
Yes, so the staff is pleased to share some highlights. I'm sure the board is pleased to, on the activities during July. July was a very exciting month here at Calleguas. The number items that we're going to highlight are 2, 9, 10, 67, and 82. And then, of course, after that, we'll be asked field questions from the board. So first, you can enjoy the incredible cover that Kat put together, a collage of all of us with almost everyone from the Calleguas staff who attended the interconnection event with Little Drop. And you can see the event there in the background. And then Henry is going to present our first item, number 2. And Henry is the first time he's had an opportunity to share a highlight.
Yes, thank you, Christine. Henry, your executive strategist. I remember my wife used to have trouble going to sleep, and she would say, "Could you talk to me about water policy?" And so you, I think, should be thankful that you don't hear from me too often. There's a lot of things happen down at Met, but the bottom line and what our retail customers are interested in is water cost and water reliability. And the actions that are highlighted on this slide really go right to the point of that. We all understand that we're in a new era. We have rising temperatures. There's more variable weather. Our traditional sources of imported water have become more variable, lower sales, lower revenues, and things that worked in the past just don't seem to work for the future. And that also means that there's going to be new ways of making decisions. And with the passage of the last budget by Metropolitan, I think there was widespread understanding that some basic matters of Metropolitan's financial management had to change. And you saw an unprecedented letter from every single general manager in the member agencies volunteering to help work on a new business model for Metropolitan. And Calleguas was right at the forefront of that. I know that Director Pacala, I think, has shared his remembrance that when he first started to work with Calleguas, the treated water cost recovery was an issue back then. I know that my very first trip to Metropolitan back in 2007 was to meet with legal counsel to talk about the impact of rising rates not on 218, but on local city council and water district elections, and how important it was that they bear that in mind. So after months of intensive discussions among the member agency general managers, there was a set of financial recommendations that were taken to the board. And the one thing that's clear is that in a changing environment, you don't have a clear and understandable financial foundation for your agency. You have given up the power to adapt to unforeseen and future water reliability issues. So the steps that the board took, the Metropolitan Board took, are the first step of setting this foundation in advance of their adoption of the biennial budget coming up and major water resource decisions coming up this year. And that's the good news. I don't think it would have put my wife to sleep, so.
Thank you, Henry. Oh, got some questions.
Questions? All right, Director Pacala.
Oh, thank you. I have a question about the Metropolitan has three projects, potential major new projects that are listed under item 2.
Yes.
Those are, what are those? DCP, Pure Water, Southern California, and Sites Reservoir.
Correct.
My questions are, does Metropolitan participate with member agencies with the pure water projects? Do they contribute? Do they work with the member agencies to develop pure water?
LRP.
So that very question was the result of a workshop, or was the topic of a workshop, because there's a question as to how the costs for pure water will be allocated among the member agencies.
And to be clear, we're talking about Pure Water, Southern California, the Metropolitan Pure Water, not to be confused with Pure Water San Diego, LV Triumpha Pure Water, or Water Pure.
With that clarification, are we still addressing the question you have, Director Pacala?
Well, what I'm trying to understand is, for example, Las Virgenes is doing a pure water project.
Yes.
Correct? Does Metropolitan participate with Las Virgenes?
At this point, the Las Virgenes, I believe, has applied for a local resource project grant. Part of the reason a local resources works for Metropolitan, or at least used to work, is that if you have a project and the cost of the water is more than what you would pay for Metropolitan, Metropolitan will help subsidize the difference.
Okay.
Okay, so they don't pay for the entire thing, but for a limited time, they will bring it down so it's cost effective under the rationale that it's cheaper for Metropolitan to pay for that incremental difference than to invest all of the member agencies' monies in a new source.
Okay.
Pure Water SoCal is a little bit different. It's a very expensive source. It has differential benefit to different member agencies. And so the cost sharing on Pure Water SoCal is still being discussed at the board level.
The other question I have is about Sites Reservoir. Do we know when Metropolitan started working on this project? What's the capacity of the Sites Reservoir? And what are the next steps for Metropolitan?
Right. So the important thing about Sites is it's not a Metropolitan project. It's a totally separate project authority. And we can probably have, if your board would like it, we can have a more in-depth overview of Sites. But essentially what it is it's a off-stream reservoir above the Bay Delta. And the idea is that when there is water available in excess of water that is allocated at the water rights, Sites Reservoir, I hesitate to give you the numbers on capacity. I'm not a numbers guy. I can inflate it by an order of magnitude and not have it register for me.
Yeah.
But the importance for reliability is that over the last 3 years, with the amount of water that we've had, it would have filled the entire reservoir with water that otherwise was just going out to the Pacific Ocean. As such, it addresses the need for ongoing storage on the state water project system in order to fill in those valleys from the peaks of high water years.
Yeah, if it's a priority project for Metropolitan, I would like to know more about it.
Okay.
However,
Is that something the entire board would like? Because we can approach this two different ways. There's certainly lots of, Director McMillan has heard many updates.
There's a presentation.
So we could provide just links to the Metropolitan meeting updates, or, excuse me, if the entire board would like more detail, we can arrange for a specific presentation.
So I got to tour and get a presentation from the people running the Sites Reservoir. It was a little bit of a spontaneous moment. And it's an incredible project, but if we have Aqua scheduled again in Sacramento, I'd recommend that we just schedule a trip out there and get a tour.
That would be in May.
In May.
That's when the next Aqua is in Sacramento.
Yeah, I recommend that if the board's interested. LV, to see the tour, I think it was earlier last year. It was last year. And I was sitting with Director Quady and JPIA, and Jay from North Virginia walks in, he goes, "Come on, let's go to Sites Reservoir." Okay, let's go check it out. So I got the tour, but
And there's not much to see. It's just open land.
yeah, it's open land, but we went to their headquarters where they're running the project from, and they gave us a good long presentation on the project and who's partnered and who's interested, and so it was good.
Within the number of years they've been talking about the sites before, I don't think it's a problematic at all to wait till May.
I say the same thing. I don't think we'll miss the construction.
It's probably still gonna be a large field.
There was a presentation at the last board meeting. And what concerned everyone is how the cost is now doubled within a very short time. They're like, what happened?
Wow.
So if you go back to the last board meeting and look it up, it's a very good presentation.
Why don't we do this? Henry and I can work together to provide some information to the board of good resources in terms of previous Met board meetings. And then once the board's had a chance to look at those materials, if you wish to have another presentation scheduled, I'm sure we can arrange something.
Yeah, excellent.
I'm more interested in knowing what are the cost, not necessarily go out to the site, look at the land, just understand what's the structure, how is it set up, how is it paid for, what are the costs are. It's going to impact the water rates. That's what my interest is.
The presentation will answer all those.
And that was at the last Met board meeting.
It was at the last water meeting, and I will work with the general manager to.
Yeah, we'll get you a link as well as a timestamp so you know where to go in the meeting.
Thank you. Great.
So Henry, I just wanted to focus on the apples to apples.
Yes.
So I just want to make sure I understand it. Is it that the Camp 4 water assessment, is that the gauging process to equitably compare pure water with Sites Reservoir? I mean, is that where this is coming from? Trying to compare the projects?
Yes, so Camp for Water was developed and is kind of built as a framework for decision-making. And the problem that the board faces, and what you see in the reflected in the monthly status report, is that you have 3 projects that are in different stages of distance to construction and at different decision points in terms of the extent of Metropolitan's participation. Right, so it's not as if you had 3 projects, all of which you were ready to build next year, and you were comparing the current cost estimates and you knew all of the factors that were involved in each project. So as a result, the ability for the board to compare these alternatives for water supply reliability in terms of magnitude and risk that they cover in terms of water reliability and the cost for covering that is more complicated than apples to apples comparison. if we could provide an apples to apples, it'd be a beautiful, beautiful world, right? It would be an easier decision to make.
But that's what the charge is.
So that is what the interest is, and Metropolitan staff is working on trying to figure out how you bring up that decision to the board. And it's unlike decisions I think that the board has faced in the past. Throughout the 20th century, we had this kind of paradigm that demand was continuing to grow. Water sales were increasing. You knew you were going to have to build projects to meet that demand. It's a different situation now in which water sales are mostly static and at a much lower historical rate. The sources of supply that we already have are subject to novel expressions of reliability. No one anticipated the 2022 state water project allocation, and yet it happened, right? So you're trying to make decisions based on incomplete knowledge, long lead times, but with important consequences for water reliability. And for those of you that remember the definition of wicked problems, that's exactly what a wicked problem is that you have the urgency to make a decision, but you're going to have to make trade-offs that are unlike the thoroughly rationalized decisions, which I would use Fernando's access to our site here. That's one where you can gather all the information and look at it side by side to make a decision. This is a little bit different, and I think the Met Board and water agencies throughout the state are grappling with how to make this new type of decision.
Gordian knot.
Pardon me?
The Gordian knot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Henry. Okay, next one, item 9.
Yes, because Charlotte didn't have enough to do in July with the internet event. She also issued our first ever newsletter.
It's not our first ever, Christine, but it is our first online newsletter. We did have a newsletter 20 years ago that we mailed out, far more economical to do an online newsletter. So that's what we're doing. Hopefully you all received it in your inboxes. We're going to do a couple of things with this. Every issue, we're going to have a general manager's corner where Christine will focus on some topic. We will have classes that are coming up that folks can sign up for, and just whatever has happened in the past quarter-ish that we want to highlight as an organization. Many organizations have newsletters, as I'm sure you're aware. This is a 2-page quick snapshot to inform the community and show them how to engage. So that's what we're doing. We expect at least one more this year, possibly 2. And early analytics indicate that people are opening it, they're clicking it, and they're reading it. So that's good news. So thank you, Kat, again, for partnership on this. We're excited to move forward with it. Questions?
Thank you, Charlotte. Questions from the board? Thank you, Charlotte.
All right.
Yeah, item 10.
Yes, Ian will be handling this item.
I have a question on the general manager's report. Item 1.
Oh, we'll go back and do those. We're gonna do the highlights and then we'll go back and do the number.
Good evening, board. Talking about the visit we had from the CSUN Autonomy Research Center for STEAM. It's a university to embed an acronym within an acronym. Professor Newt Ho, who runs ARCS, who's in the middle holding the Calleguas binder there, is a local guy, Vietnamese immigrant, went to CSUN, ended up at MIT for graduate school, and came back to CSUN with the idea that he wanted to provide more local kids with the same opportunities that he had. So what that looks like today is that CSUN, the ARCS program, is sending local kids, CSUN students, to NASA to intern. And they're also taking some of the same technologies that ARCS has developed for NASA for use in the Mars rover and the International Space Station, and trying to apply those more locally for utility management, for workforce development, for other local
workers who may not end up at CSUN or NASA. So one of the projects they're involved with now is at LADWP to build these training, virtual reality training modules for meter and valve repair. And what they came and talked to us about was doing a similar thing here for some of our treatment processes. We talked with Omar and Fernando and David Hernandez while we were on the tour about how can we apply machine learning and what they call that. I know there's a lot of like jargon, especially in that second bullet, but a digital twin of an operation with human-centric AI knowledge system. What that is it would digest all of the notes and domain knowledge that our operators have and be able to develop a training program that we could run all kinds of scenarios on. And so that's kind of where we are. We're meeting with them again on August 25th to see if this is a partnership that we want to develop. But it was a really interesting conversation, and it's really appreciate the fact that, you know, an organization with the kind of stature that sends folks to NASA is also interested in improving the safety and efficiency and effectiveness of local utilities like water.
All right. Questions, comments from the board? Thank you, Ian. Yeah. All right, item 67.
Omar Manager O&M is gonna cover this item.
Good evening, board. So our staff performed routine maintenance on our control valves at the Tove Dam. We have approximately 194 control valves in our system. They do range from 1.5 inches to 24 inches in diameter. The control valves all have different functions. Some are set for pressure regulating to make sure that we sustain a certain pressure or reduce the pressure. Some are set to create back pressure, like for a well application. And some are there to sustain flow and also to relieve pressure so we don't overpressure our system at any point and create damage. So they would open up a relief valve. All valves are maintained annually by staff. That's part of our program, but also what's recommended by the manufacturer, and our valves are clay valve manufacturer. So if we go through their manuals and what they recommend, and we actually go above some of their maintenance requirements. And this is a good example. This is a 24-inch valve, weighs about 8,000 pounds. So we do have to utilize a crane to lift it, move it out of the way, and then completely disassemble the valve. All of our staff do attend clay valve certification courses, and then they do their refresher. So within distribution, the six staff members that are working on those valves are all certified.
Questions? Of the 194 valves, control valves, how many are clay valves? All of them are?
194.
All of them are clay valves?
Yeah, so we standardize with clay valve. Otherwise, there's Watts, there's Singer, there's a lot of different valves out there. But the internals are proprietary. So you would have to have a lot of different kits in order to maintain, and this gives us a little bit of redundancy if we needed to use something somewhere else.
Okay, thank you.
Ranging from 1.5 to 24?
Ranging from 1.5 to 24 inch.
24 inch. Okay.
So the 1.5 is going to be smaller for some of the turnouts and controls, and then where you have larger pumps and motors, this is where you're going to see the larger diameter.
How many spares of each do we have? Say if you're doing maintenance and you find something wrong with it, you know, how many of the repair kits or spares do we have?
So we're able to rebuild every clay valve that we have. We purchase those every year knowing that this is a routine PM. We also have additional bodies. So if anything happens with any pitting or corrosion, we're able to put a new body in place and then send that one out for coating. We do not have 194 bodies in place, but what we do is carry the ones that are difficult to get or have the largest lead times.
Okay. Other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Omar.
Thanks, Omar. And last but not least, for item number 82, we have Tori Wren, our environmental health and safety specialist, to talk about a little visit we had from the fire department.
Hello, pleasure to be here. First, I went to CSUN, so that was very exciting to hear that. And hearing about the secondary emergency exit makes me very pleased because obviously safety and emergencies are kind of my cup of tea. So anyways, Ventura County Fire Department contacted us and requested to do a confined space training out at our new confined space training facility. So this was the first time they were able to go out here. And a few of us from the district were out there to open it up. And I went out kind of as a representative of the district just to observe how their operations go and kind of how they would mesh with our operations. The confined space rescue drills are done. They are mandated by regulation to be done on an annual basis by any business, organization, company, special district, fire department, anyone who directs their employees to go into a required confined space. So we do the drills annually and the fire department does the drills annually. So obviously the entire fire department can't be here at one time, so they're going to be doing it in groups. So this was about 5 different engines that all showed up for this. The rescue planning is done by doing annual training, having the proper equipment to be able to use to rescue somebody from a confined space, the knowledge of all the hazards that potentially could be in a confined space, and the capability of responding quickly. So the drill was conducted to be as realistic as possible. The chief of the fire department that organized this had all of the fire departments that arrived. They arrived and they collected away from where they were doing the rescue. They were told there's an injured person in this confined space and we need to go rescue them. And they drove up and it was they had never seen it. They didn't know what to expect. So it was done like a real emergency. Every emergency operates is the most senior person, the person with the most knowledge was the incident commander. That person assigned roles to each of the different groups, and they all worked consecutively to set up the different various things that you need to perform a confined space rescue. They also included our district staff to be the co-workers of the injured person. So one of our staff was inside the confined space being asked a lot of questions that the fire department would want to know, like, is the person awake? What is the injury? Asking things like that, right? Are you injured? All of this. So all these types of questions were answered, and so that was fun to really see how that works in a real scenario. All of the rescue included, the different components included, they evaluated the patient. They evaluated the hazards inside the space. They made sure with our department that the space was locked and tagged out. They made sure that the air monitoring was conducted, and they used their own air monitoring to verify that our air monitoring and theirs were the same. They ventilated the space. They packaged the patient. They set up a rope system with a mechanical advantage in order to lift and remove the patient from the confined space. They had an EMT. They had EMT services. The entire services were on site, ready to treat the patient and to transport them to the hospital if needed. Once the rescue was completed, they had an after-action meeting where all of us gathered in a circle. We discussed what worked, what surprised us, the different things that they could do to improve, how they respond. They asked us a lot of questions. They were very curious about how our systems work. When they looked in, they asked about the manhole. We showed them the manhole. They asked what's normally down in there, and I explained to them it's normally water. And so they were very fascinated with, well, how do you lock that and tag that out? How do you do that? So I was able to share how those things are performed and how much time we put into preparing for these in advance of doing them so that we don't have to have a rescue because we like to be very prepared. I know at the very end of it, they were incredibly thankful. We did share the photos with them and they will be able to utilize them within their systems as well. So, and we've already had another fire chief contact us to do another one. So hopefully this will be a routine task.
Good. Thank you. Questions, comments from the board?
I have a question. It's funny because as you go through the monthly status report, there's a lot of neat things being reported on here, but I drew this one out. I was going to ask you about it, but anyway, I'm really pleased with this thing.
Yeah.
And I kind of wonder about it. I know we've done something with JPIA. Have we done anything with Aqua because they have an innovative award?
We did win the HR LeBounty Award.
Yes, that JPIA. So what about Aqua?
Oh, I have.
Has an innovative practices thing too. So
I think we probably are outside the statute of limitations on that now that the facility's been in place for a couple of years.
Yeah.
there is a limitation.
We keep using.
Okay, well, anyway.
Well, look at that. That's a good point.
Yeah. I really.
Yeah. It's invaluable, I think, for the community that can use it. We've also told other water districts if they would like to participate and utilize it, if we can find a way to do it without taking up too much of our own staff, because we also have jobs to do. But we want to, help the community as much as we can.
Very great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and item 82.
Yep, I think
That was item 82.
that was item 82. So
Okay.
thus concludes the highlights. We'd be happy to answer questions on any other items.
Okay, at this point, I'm gonna go around and get all the numbers that you're interested in, so I can list them down.
Sure, thank you.
Director Quady.
So Henry answered the one question. I have 44, 49, 60, 65, and 77. And I think one of those is Fernando already answered the question, but I'll revisit that anyway.
Director Pacala, which numbers would you like to be brought up?
Item 1.
Item 1, okay.
And
You will?
I'm all set.
Okay, let's start with item number 1. What's your question, Dirk?
Item 1 says regional desalter study consultant proposal is due October 8th. And you have been meeting with other purveyors who are interested in desalter projects. My question is, how many of the purveyors are actively working with us and who are they?
Camarosa, Camarillo, Thousand Oaks, Cal Water, Ventura County Waterworks District, Simi Valley. Did I forget anybody?
Sounds right.
8 of them.
6.
6, 7 of you
Or
included.
6, okay. I guess District 1, 9.
Yes, it depends how you count Waterworks.
Waterworks. Okay,
I counted them as 1, but you could count them as 3 if you prefer.
thank you, that's all.
Item 44, Director Quady.
Okay, I just said, it's the first time I heard of Sourcewell Service Cooperative. So
Nando.
Yes, Sourcewell Cooperative is a contract that allows, very similar to the as needed pipeline services agreement, where competitive rates are bid on for different services. In this case, it could be anything from procurement of equipment to replacement of pipelines. And they do provide these opportunities to expedite projects. We did try them out, specifically the Gordian contract for Staff House 3 renovations, found out that it was not the right fit, but with the roof replacements, they did return with a contractor that provided a very competitive cost in line with the engineer's estimate.
So it's another cooperative purchasing tool that allows us to streamline our procurement policies while maintaining compliance with the public contract code as well as our own procurement policy.
I see.
Yes.
Good, thank you.
Okay, number 49.
Number 49, Fernando provided us with maps and stuff, so and 6D, so I will pass on that one.
Okay, 60.
For 60, just wanted to ask about, are these diffusers, are they controlled by rate of airflow? They have fine bubble versus coarse bubble stuff. I don't know.
So these are diffusers that we have inside the lake, which we can put in our liquid ox to improve our DO.
And so we manipulate the rate or do we?
Right, yeah.
I thank you.
Thank you. 65.
65,
That's gonna be you too, Omar.
well, I was just wondering about how many quarters of non-detect data of these 16 wells before we get less frequency of monitoring. There might be a pattern.
On the PFAS,
Yeah,
and what your question was, how many samples have we?
non-detect data.
We're at quarter one.
Yeah, but I mean,
Oh,
if you talk to our ex Department of Health Services person, she's done that in the past where we've done ocean monitoring.
Yeah.
And you can actually pull back on the monitoring frequencies once you've demonstrated on
yeah, so
a certain period of time.
we will complete 4 quarters of data on PFAS and PFOS at the wells. And then based off that, the DDW will delegate what type of sampling is adequate. So if it's non-detect, we'll see if they allow it to be done every 3 years. It's going to be an annual, so.
They used to call it an information collection rule, but now it's just by.
It is still the it's still UCMR.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Unregulated contaminants monitoring rule?
Yes, unregulated contaminants.
CMR number, what are you at now?
Oh, I
5? Okay.
I think we're at 5, yeah. I think
Thank you.
we did 5.
Thank you, Omar. And number 77, please.
I kind of think this is a big deal and kind of shocks me actually. So I was just wondering, did we report this to law enforcement? Did we need to spread that around to water health agency?
We were able to track the helicopter by its number. Our residents captured that information because they were here on site. And we did reach out to the owners directly to get more information on why they landed here, but we did not report it to law enforcement.
So is that something we should do or?
We still can. I mean, I think the idea was reach out to the owner, hopefully get an explanation for why they felt the need to land here and then determine whether any further action was necessary.
We did film them. So he was on the ground like 30 seconds or less. I mean, he got out, went around, looked at his passenger door. So we feel like it was probably an emergency situation where he felt the need to land, got back in his helicopter and flew off.
That would make more fuzzy, I guess, if it's his emergency, but still.
Yeah.
You know, to me, I read that and I thought, well, this is a previous look. Is that what this is? I mean, you know, it's just a terrorist preparation. I mean.
Yeah, just.
Yeah, that I missed that. I'm not gonna lie, but that's very concerning. And not only should that be reported to law enforcement, it should probably be reported to the FAA.
Okay.
If that's not a authorized placement of land and private property.
We can certainly do so. At this point, approximately a month has elapsed since we sent the letter with no response.
Yeah.
And it's completely appropriate for us to escalate it at this point to both those entities. So we'll work with legal counsel as appropriate to do so.
And the letter reserved its rights if we didn't receive sufficient information with respect to trespass on district property. So when you, when you reserve your rights like that, you're essentially putting a placeholder in to escalate it further in the future if you want to.
And the President brings up a good point, is that the FAA needs to know about any of these kind of things, or
Do we have any,
if somebody fails, has an emergency, we gotta go.
and do we have any requirements with land?
Security?
Considering this is a controlled area.
This is not something that has happened under my watch. So it's definitely good.
I'm not sure it's happened under anyone's watch. So I would recommend that Tricia and I consult with legal counsel about how best to proceed with respect to this issue.
You know, this is interesting because it brings up the point that I brought up before about, you know, having a law enforcement person on staff, right? You know, instead of security services, somebody that, and also our operations staff that has to watch cameras, you know, we should have a position like that. That's just another thought there. All right. With that, thank you, Director Quady. Thank you, Tricia. Moving on to Quarterly investment report, Dan Smith.
Good evening, directors. Tonight, we're going to be going over the quarterly investment report. I did bring in Elaine Sampson from Chandler Investments to give you the update from this report like we do once to twice a year. So I am going to turn it over to her and introduce her. She's been up here before. And so I'm presenting the report. This is the report that's in the packet. She's just going to kind of go over it and to the pages she started. She got.
Very much, Dan. Am I moving the slides or is it?
I think you should move this. It's not a presentation yet.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Elena Marie Sampson. I am a senior, well, I was a senior portfolio strategist. I am now a portfolio strategy manager at Chandler Asset Management. I need to change my title. And we are your investment advisor. I wanted to thank you for having me here again tonight. I'm going to provide a brief economic update, and I'm not going to go through all the slides per usual. Instead, we'll really focus on what's most important. And Dan, I'm having a hard time. There's emails popping up. Yeah, I think so.
If you just go down. There it works. Slow.
Okay, I need to be patient.
It's really slow.
All right, there we are. Okay, so the update from the economic perspective is, the data is suggesting slower growth with weaker employment here in our country. The Federal Reserve has stated several times that they would have cut rates if it were not for the uncertainty around tariffs. And the way I've been describing tariffs these days is a bit like whack-a-mole. 28 minutes ago, there was an update that there's going to be 100% tariffs on chips, but a bunch of exemptions. And so this is part of the challenge that the Federal Reserve is being faced with in terms of the uncertainty. And what we are currently doing in the U.S. is being in the negotiation stage of tariffs. So just want to give us a sense of what I mean by that. First, we're negotiating with individual countries, 70 different countries, on those larger tariffs that was initially set to go into effect in April, postponed to July 9th, and now postponed to August 9th. So this is very much upcoming. We are also negotiating with courts to assess whether the executive orders are legal. That's currently in the appeals court, and there was a hearing on the 31st. So we're awaiting the outcome from that. The anticipation is, regardless of outcome, that will likely go to the Supreme Court. And then, of course, the big one is China. Those tariffs are paused until August 12th. There are a number of other tariffs that are continuing to be in play. There's 10% to 40% tariffs on individual countries, anything non-compliant with USMCA, the formerly known as NAFTA agreement between Mexico and Canada and ourselves. Steel and aluminum, certainly an important part for your capital improvement programs. Those are now at 50%. So a lot of different tariffs are currently in play. So this is the uncertainty that the Federal Reserve is worried about. And because of the number of different tariffs, one of the things that we are concerned with is, rather than it being a one-time price increase in price level, this increase in ongoing number of tariffs could lead to more inflation. And so that's what the Federal Reserve is concerned with. And so if I just speak a little bit more specifically about employment and how we are seeing employment, the big news is that through the revisions, we're seeing a much weaker labor market with a very steep decline in job gains across the country. Total farm payroll employment changed very little. It says here 147,000 jobs in June. That was all revised down. The last 2 months were revised down by 250,000 jobs. So the update would be only 70,000 jobs added across the country. Unemployment is at a rate of 4.2%. We've been at this range for a little over a year. And unemployment in California, I'd point to, we're actually one of the weaker states in terms of our unemployment. We're at 5.4%, so much higher than the rest of the nation. And part of this has to do with structural issues here in our state. Think the agriculture, tourism, that makes for more unemployment. We have a number of young people whose unemployment tends to be higher, and we have a number of young people here. And then contract workers, so tech workers tend to be a bit more seasonal with regards to labor. So if I move forward 2 slides, let's see if I can do that. Right. The inflation, we did see increase just a tad bit here in the middle of the summer. And headline inflation, CPI, increased to 2.7%. And core inflation, that removes energy and food, which is much more volatile, that increased to 2.9%. Our goal is to trend downward on that right-hand side for PCE to come down to 2%. So going in the wrong direction. But again, because of the tariffs and some of the changes that are happening here, we did anticipate a level of increase happening in the summer. Our question is, will it be sustained or not? The consumers, in the meanwhile, that's the other part that's always important. We represent about 2/3 to 75% of GDP in the country. We pulled forward quite a bit of our spending in the first quarter of the year, and then that in turn made the second quarter be a bit weaker. You may have seen articles about consumers surprising to the upside this summer, meaning that we're out spending again. And when I look at this picture, I think of 2 things. One, on the left-hand side, retail sales is a reflection of dollars spent. And then consumer confidence is more about numbers of people. So how do I square that my consumer confidence numbers are going down, but retail sales are going up? That seems a little bit disjointed. Well, the higher income, higher wealth consumers are the individuals who have started coming back out to spend. And they show a much disproportionate piece of the amount of spend in our country. Therefore, our retail sales continue to be strong. But when we look across our country with consumer sentiment as well, which looks at across the political spectrum, all sides of the political spectrum have come down a bit in terms of where we're going with sentiment with regards to business conditions, labor conditions, and cost. These are the things that people are reporting being most worried about. So what does that mean in terms of our GDP? I'm going to jump forward a few slides to number 11. What we saw, therefore, was in the first quarter of the year, which is reported here on the page, a couple of things happened. We saw lots of people brought forward their purchases of imports. So imports were higher than net exports. So you see that number is at negative 4.6%. That was very, very high. And we saw personal consumption expenditures, that's individuals purchasing, come down quite dramatically. Individuals were not spending very much in the first quarter. Now, after that happened, we saw all those businesses and individuals make their purchases. We then saw imports drop off dramatically in the second quarter as we had Liberation Day, which was the day of the announcements of the tariffs. And we saw the second quarter GDP, the advanced number, come out just a couple of days ago at 3% for the second quarter. So that was partially, again, what we expected. Lots of purchasing in the first portion of the year with imports, and then we're back to a little bit more of a normal. So that delta, if you will, is what caused that increase. So all in all, what does that mean from a bond yields perspective and the environment with which we are investing? 2 big points here. We saw lots of whipsaw from both the tariff announcements, but also the big, beautiful bill that was passed on July 4th. That was the news story to watch. And what we saw was a bifurcation of yields on that left-hand side. So what am I referencing? The 2 and the 5-year points on the curve, those are starting to reflect the expectation that indeed rates will be cut. And so the shorter end of the curve is starting to come down. However, because there is an anticipation of deficit spending and debt being increased in the country, that is causing the 10-year part of the curve to increase. So those are 2 different things happening at the same time. So what will that translate to with the yield curve? Over time, we expect it to become more normalized, and that little kink that you see at the beginning of the curve to come down. So the Fed funds rates will come down, the longer end will go up. If you're trying to buy a house, not a great news for you in terms of where the 10-year mortgages are, which is where 10-year US Treasuries are, which is typically where mortgages are priced off of. So just giving you a sense there if that is important to you. So that's what's happening with regards to the economy, what's happening with your portfolio. We are always focused on safety and liquidity, and certainly in these times of uncertainty, that's what you'd want us to be doing. But nonetheless, we also have a mandate to be focused on a market rate of return consistent with your investment program, which is a 1 to 3 year benchmark for the district. We are in compliance with your most recent investment policy. We have 2 pieces of legislation coming through that we see for the state of California that will impact your your investment policy. And I'll certainly be working with Dan to make sure that that gets reflected once it becomes effectuated by the state. And they're both related to commercial paper, which I don't believe is going to really impact the district very much, but we like to make sure that you stay in alignment with where government code is. So the portfolio characteristics, what I want to point to here is that in the average modified duration, you can see we're at 1.79, which is a little bit longer than the 1.77 benchmark target that you see listed there. And we're doing that because we wanted to make sure, again, that we stayed ahead of the declining rates. So we've purchased securities out longer in order to support that. And doing so actually increased the purchase yield to 4.28% compared to where we were in March at 4.17%. And we did this in a market environment where rates were going down. That's what the fourth line is. What were the yields generally for a portfolio similar to yours in the market? Those yields were coming down. You see the average quality is at AA+. All three credit rating agencies now rate the U.S. government AA+. We are not a AAA rated country, given our debt levels. And then total market value, what you see, it increased by about $2.2 million to $164 million that we manage on the district's behalf. 1.9 of that came from increasing income, but there is an inverse relationship between market yields and market prices. I tell y'all that each time. And so that is part of what has increased the total market value. And in all, for the fiscal year, the income earned for the portfolio we managed was about $6.8 million. So that's one of the ways that we really want to reflect the positive performance of the portfolio. And then again, of course, with the purchase yield going up to 4.28. Going to the sector distribution, we've purchased what we call Freddie K's. Those are Federal Home Loan Mortgage Association bonds. They fall under the category of agency CMBS. We were purchasing those because you were getting about 30 to 40 basis points more than the U.S. Treasury yield. So effectively buying a federal agency bond and picking up higher yield for it. And these are very secured bonds that are based off of multifamily homes backed by Freddie Mac. Moving on to quality distribution. I've already mentioned that Moody's did downgrade the U.S. government. This was not a surprise. They made a negative outlook back in November of 2023, and this was the resolution of that downgrade. They brought us down to AA1 stable. And it's important to note that it is stable outlook because they highlighted we have exceptional credit strength here in our country. And despite all the things that we hear in the news, we have very strong institutional features as we compare ourselves to other sovereigns across the world. So last comment I want to make with regards to how is the portfolio performing. This is the investment performance. And I'd say, again, a very strong performance. If I look at the 12-month line there, you see the portfolio earned 5.93% versus the benchmark of 5.67%. So you were outperforming on that basis. Total return measures your interest income, unrealized and realized gains and losses. So it really does encompass, as of June 30th, how did this portfolio perform? And I'd point to, some people will ask, well, why do you use unrealized in the event that we're a buy and hold investor? Well, it's because we have these funds in the event that there was an emergency. And if the district needed to liquidate the entire portfolio, you would know exactly how much you've earned overall as of a given statement date. So since inception, that is even stronger. You're at 3.74% versus 2.99% on your performance. And that is an annualized number. So as I think about all of this, we're really focused on having a sleep at night portfolio. That outperformance that we have at the 5.93, that translates to real dollars. We're talking about $400,000 more than the benchmark that was earned for your portfolio for 1 year compared to the benchmark. So overall, 3 different ways to say we're doing all right.
Okay, great. Thank you. It sounds like we're doing pretty good. Questions from the board, Director Pakala?
Well, just a comment. Certainly, we are doing pretty good financials. My question is, once the tariffs are implemented?
What's the
tariffs? Tariffs are implemented?
Yes.
How long does it take for those to show up on the economic indicators?
That's part of what's been really difficult. Our anticipation was that we'd start seeing them in about 3 months, and that's what we have been seeing. The initial implementation, there were some that were implemented in April, and we in turn saw a little bit of an tick up in inflation in July. The reason why it's hard to predict, though, is that a number of different agencies that I've spoken to, for example, did pre-purchasing back in January, right? Contracts often last a year or longer. So it's going to take quite some time for us to see some of these prices come through. And with the on again, off again aspect of some of the tariff policies, what we've seen is ships have gone to sail. Some of those products were tariffed, and then the next ship went out and they were not tariffed. So it's making it very hard to see these very large numbers hit our economic indicators, but 3 months is about what we've been seeing.
Elaine, great report. I just wanted to ask about the investment policy that you have.
Yes.
Given the changes that you see economically, is there any places where you're bumping your head against what the allocations are? So in other words, you mentioned commercial paper, and that's one of the things that caught my eye, is that the actual limit of maturity dates, for example, is close. But more importantly, the corporate medium note, those are near 30%. So I was just wondering if there's anything that you bump your head on our investment policy that looks like you might have some tension or compression?
Not any tension or pressure. What I'd say is, we want to make sure that in the event that there's an emergency, and I often think about Buncombe County. I have family that lives in Buncombe County, which is where Asheville is, Western North Carolina. That was where the hurricane hit. In those times of extreme emergencies, you want to be able to have bonds that are very liquid. And so commercial paper, while it matures very quickly, it'll mature in less than 270 days. If you need it quickly, it's a little bit harder to sell that paper in the marketplace. And so having a limit of up to 40% for a safety and liquidity portfolio, I don't know if it's necessarily necessary. Similarly, with corporate bonds, you want to have those in order to help support the yield in the portfolio. But really, the reason why we have the majority of the portfolio in treasuries, agencies, and then as well as those Freddie Ks is because the federal government is the most liquid market in the world. And that gives us both the positive yield as well as that safety and liquidity piece. So it's not making us bump our heads up against anything. This is actually aligned to California government code. So the only thing that the board would have an option to do and with regards to expanding from government code is if you wanted to go a little bit longer with, say, U.S. treasuries or agencies. If the board had, there are some boards that I work with who choose to have maturities out to as far as 10 years because they have certain projects that they're working on. That would be really the one change that some boards choose to make.
That's just that allocation of maturity date issues.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, item B, general counsel's report.
Yeah, just a brief update of work since the last meeting. I worked with the manager of engineering and engineering staff concerning a public records act request for contractor records, the contract for the roof replacement, and the contract for house 3 replacement. Worked with the manager of operations on a service agreement related to district generators and a contract regarding oxygen supplies. Worked with the manager of information technology on a vendor agreement and conferred with the manager of external affairs to review how pending legislation could potentially impact disclosure of infrastructure information. That's still in process because it's pending legislation that can change from day to day. And then finally, I also attended the Calleguas Las Virgenes interconnection event. I thought everybody did a great job. The speakers, the crew that built the tie, tie-in, however you want to put it, was great. But I lived around the corner from that place for about 3 years and had never seen it. I was like, oh, that's a really nice community center. Would have been good if I took advantage of it back in the day. But
I used to live across the street from it.
oh yeah,
Yeah. But with that, I'm curious. Was the mention of public records request, was that from a contractor?
that was that was related to payroll records with respect to a case that is currently pending in litigation.
Got it. Okay. All right, any other questions? Council, okay, moving on to C, Board of Directors reports. We haven't had any committees.
We have not.
Moving on to item 2, report of Region 8 Director, Director Quady.
Nothing important other than the August 13th, Board Policy Committee meetings are coming.
JPIA.
No report.
Report. AWA.
There was sorry, the last AWA was here. I believe you discussed that one at the last meeting. Yeah, why am I confused about that?
What you're confused about it.
Yeah.
I think it was happening the day after the
Yeah.
last meeting.
Oh, it's the 17th.
Yeah, it was the following morning.
The 16th. I was not able to attend.
I can assure you the speakers were awesome.
No,
How was the food?
So my apologies for that, but yeah, he was here on the 17th.
Okay, Fox Canyon GMA.
Myself and our Deputy General Manager, Ian, attended July 23rd Fox Canyon / Water Master board meeting at the county offices. Both the boards, it's the same board. They use different names. One for Water Master is for Las Cruces Valley. So they have lowered the groundwater sustainability charge from $29 to $24. They have canceled the 4th installment of Las Cruces groundwater basin assessment fee. They also have reduced Las Cruces Valley groundwater basin assessment charge from $64.58 to $60 per acre foot. The reason they're able to do this is there are healthy reserves, and within the Las Cruces Valley, currently we pay $60 per acre foot charge. Just as a background, 10 years ago, before the adjudication of the basin and the legal judgment, there used to be $6 per acre foot of pump charges. Now, GMA pumpers are paying as much as $48 or so per acre foot. And especially in the Las Cruces Valley, we are paying more than $100 per acre foot. So all of these reductions are welcome. They're moving in the right direction. And we have, especially our PAC members have been doing a good job of pressing for lower pumping charges. What's interesting to me is prior to the adjudication, legal judgment, GMA used to have 3 FTEs. Now we have 14 FTEs, 350% increase. The legal charges have exponentially increased. They have been going higher, mainly because of the lawsuits that GMA has to defend. So all of us end up paying, all of us meaning pumpers, groundwater pumpers, within GMA will end up paying for all these expensive legal fees and staffing. They're all needed, but we had to pay for it.
Wow. 14 employees now. What do you know what the salary range is from those employees?
Oh yeah, there I would say highest would be, oh, by the way, staff announced that GMA has hired a new executive officer. The executive officer will be starting August 11th. I think for that person, it may be like 250,000 maybe. That's highest.
Okay.
As far as the lowest would be clerical staff, maybe 50,000.
Okay.
I'm just guessing. I don't remember all the numbers in my head.
That's a lot of employees. It's big growth.
Yeah.
Large growth.
So I guess my observations are GMA and Watermaster are moving in the right direction. We all need to work together with the pumpers, with GMA staff, with the board to make this work and keep the rates down. That's my goal.
Yeah, with all that growth, I'm not sure those rates are going to stay down.
No, we need those, but what I'm saying is we have lots of reserves sitting there. We have to figure out what's appropriate amount of reserve.
Yeah,
We do money for replenishment of groundwater basin. We need money for storage, groundwater storage. We need money to do all this to comply with the judgment. At the same time, we should not be having higher reserves than needed.
yeah.
Anyway, that's my report.
Thank you, Director Kala. Okay, Director McMillan, Metropolitan Water District.
Yes, on July 18th, I attended Southern California Water Committee's quarterly lunch. On the 20th and 21st, I attended MWD Subcommittee on Imported Water, a workshop on engineering operations and technology. And on the 24th, I attended the Chair's weekly legislative update. July 30th, the Ad hoc Ag and Tribal Partnership Committee. And July 31st, another Chair's weekly legislative update.
How's all the lobbying efforts for the conveyance going?
I haven't heard the update yet. We just know that it was going to be very difficult. That's what we heard from the governor's office. And so we've been working very diligently behind the lines to get the legislators and get them to show their support. And the one that I know that we need to get on board is Monique Lemon.
Okay.
We probably should set up a meeting with her and have that discussion.
Yeah, hopefully. Thank you, Director McMillan. Okay, we have not had a LAFCO meeting. The next one, Ventura County Regional Energy Alliance.
No meeting.
No meeting. VCSDA.
The meeting next one is September 2nd.
Okay.
Here. It will be here, and there will be a tour of the plant, followed by a business meeting and followed by me speaking.
Fun. Okay, now let's go around the room for directors' reimbursable meetings, starting with Director McMillan.
On July 17th, AWA's breakfast at the Calleguas. July 24th, the Intertie celebration. July 25th, CSDA training on unlocking your Brown Act via webinar. And July 31st, West Ventura County's Business Alliance networking breakfast. That was really good. August the 4th, cyber training on spear phising. August the 6th, management's meeting to discuss strategies with MWD and tonight's board meeting.
Thank you, Director McMillan. Director Robert.
Sure. On the since the last board meeting on the 21st, the Fort Wayne Water Agency meeting. On the 22nd, Metropolitan Subcommittee on Imported Water. On the 24th, the interconnection celebration. 29th, cyber threat training, and the 31st, mobile device training.
Okay, thank you, Director Robert. Director Quady.
Tonight's meeting. In tonight's meeting.
And tonight's meeting.
Just today, I zoomed ACO 101 and tonight's board meeting.
Director McCollum.
Just tonight's board meeting.
Okay, thank you. And for myself, since the last board meeting, I've been pretty busy. On the 17th, I attended the AWA function here. On the 18th, I attended the Southern California Water Coalition quarterly lunch. On the 21st, I had a meeting with our general manager. On the 23rd, I attended the Legislative Affairs Committee with the Chamber of Commerce. On the 24th, we had the Interconnect event with Las Virgenes. Wait, I got my meetings wrong. That was based off my calendar. On the 21st, I did not have a meeting with the general manager. I had a meeting with the general manager on the 28th. Since we rescheduled it. On the 4th, 2 days ago on Monday, it was the Simi Valley City Council meeting where they discussed water rates and some of their priorities. They approved their priorities I had previously mentioned, which I wrote it down as it reads. Their top priorities that they approved for the city. Why did that open? Sorry. Support the development of local independent water supplies, including local groundwater desalination. So that's looking forward to that. And they did not approve their new rates or their budget. They want to do more discussion stuff of reserves. They want to figure out if they want to not increase rates now, go burn up some of the reserves that they had previously set aside for projects, but they haven't used. So they have ongoing discussion with that. And yesterday I attended the Simi Valley City Club presentation with our manager of O&M. He did an incredible job. Everybody seemed very content with his presentation and the answers he gave. So he did a good job. Kudos to Omar. Thank you. And tonight's board meeting. Okay. Hey, do we have discussion regarding upcoming meetings to be attended by board members?
If I could highlight a few things on the upcoming meetings list, AWA is dark in August, so there won't be any of those regular meetings. The next board meeting on the 20th, I've been informed that 2 of the board members will need to participate remotely from a publicly noticed location. So the other 3 board members, the 20th, the next board meeting.
I was going to announce that I will be out of town, out of the country.
Okay, then we have a quorum issue for the 20th.
I would have been
I'm in Sacramento.
I know.
Can we reschedule that board meeting?
That's what we're gonna need to figure out. So glad we asked. So that's why I wanted to raise it. We're gonna have to figure out something else. Let me get with Kara and others and expect to hear from us with some potential alternative dates for the meeting.
I will be back from my trip on the 23rd. So the week of the 25th, if we needed to reschedule for that week, I am available.
No, I'm going to be at the CSDA conference.
Yeah, that's it.
What about Director
I'm
Picard?
returning on August 23rd also.
Okay, so then we would have a quorum for that week if we have 3 in person.
Would the 27th work for Director Robert, Director Quady?
I can Zoom.
Yeah, you can still Zoom then.
I'm with the CSDA.
Oh, you're both at CSDA. That's
On the
true.
27th.
But if we have the 3 of you present and the 2 of you participating remotely, according to legal counsel, we are good
At designated addresses, right?
at designated addresses. Okay,
Yeah, on 27th, I have GMA board meeting in the afternoon, but ours is in the evening anyway. So
yeah, so you'd be ready by 4? Okay. And we could potentially move it back to 5 if that's better, or 4 is good.
What is fine.
Okay, legal counsel's available,
That's the 27th?
the 27th. We have to check, we were gonna have a closed session, so we're gonna have to check on the availability of folks involved in that. If not, we will figure something out. Okay, so that was, the only other thing I would note is that the purveyor meeting that was supposed to be at Las Virgenes this month, we were going to tour their demonstration facility. They're doing some construction. So we're gonna push that to a subsequent meeting, and the purveyor meeting will be here instead. So I think that's, I already talked about PCSDA.
Upcoming meetings, it's not necessarily an upcoming meeting, but I know I had asked that we do a board member tour of our facilities, not necessarily the lake and things like that, but facilities like buildings. So I want to see if we can please schedule that for sometime in the next month or 2.
Okay.
And figure out which board members want to participate.
Which facility specifically would you like to see?
I think we split up and I just want to, I want the board to be able to put eyes on any of our buildings, figure out what we have, what conditions it's in, so we understand where we're at as a district.
Okay, why don't you and I talk a little bit more about what you're looking for so we can make sure we provide it.
Sounds good. Thank you. All right, and we have future agenda items. Okay, board
Upcoming meetings.
Oh, yeah.
upcoming meetings. Go ahead.
Yes, I plan to attend, on August 14th, I plan to attend Waterworks District 1 Citizens Advisory Committee in Moore Park. On, I already mentioned a GMA meeting on August 27th.
Thank you, Director Picard. Any more upcoming meetings? Okay, with that, moving on to board comments. We have any board member comments?
I was going to announce that I'll be out of state, but I already said that, so nothing to announce.
I'd like to maybe amuse everybody, but stimulated by Director McMillan's post and the DCP conveyance.
Oh, yeah.
It made me think back a little bit, and so I went to the John F. Kennedy Center to look at the papers there, and I was looking for 1962 and the dedication of the San Luis Reservoir at Los Barrios. And it just surprised me reading his speech how much similarity there is between then and now. And it's kind of shocking, actually, but one of the things that I was thinking about was how great it would be if everybody had the community sense in the entire state of something that could happen that would benefit the entire state. There's no NIMBYs, no protect my areas, that kind of stuff. It has more to do with what collectively is best for the state. And so I just kind of went there. So thank you, Director Bruno, for that post.
Yeah.
I took a little adventure on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, information items. Did everyone get a chance to review the letters? Okay. Do we have a need for closed session?
No.
No need for closed session. And with